The U.S. China trade war got even more intense on Wednesday, as China slapped an extra 50% tariff on American goods, raising total tariffs on U.S. imports to 84%. The move came just hours after President Donald Trump's new tariffs, totaling 104% on Chinese goods, went into effect. China's government called Trump's tariffs a mistake upon another mistake, and urged both countries to resolve differences through equal dialogue and mutual respect. While China buys far less from the U.S. than it sells, the Chinese government still has powerful tools to strike back in other ways. The U.S. exports about $160 billion in goods to China each year, while China exports over $400 billion to the U.S. They can't match the U.S. dollar for dollar, so they'll look at other ways to hit back. One major option hitting Trump's rural voter base by cutting off U.S. agricultural imports. There's a high chance China stops buying American farm goods completely. China already reduced U.S. soybean purchases by 75% during the last trade war in 2018, prompting Trump to offer $12 billion in aid to farmers. The same kind of support may be needed again. China could also increase restrictions on U.S. poultry. Just last week, it banned imports from 2 American poultry companies. China could also limit or ban Hollywood films. The Chinese market, once a key source of global box office revenue, has cooled on U.S. movies. In 2023, none of the top 10 films in China were American, a big change from 2012, when U.S. movies dominated the charts. Although the U.S. has a goods trade deficit with China, it actually runs a surplus in services like finance, consulting, and law. China could respond by blocking U.S. firms from bidding on government contracts or limiting partnerships with Chinese businesses. China may also step up investigations of U.S. companies to protect its own growing intellectual property sector. That could raise tensions, especially as the U.S. has long accused China of IP theft. There's also concern China could pull back from cooperating with the U.S. on stopping fentanyl trafficking. China has helped restrict exports of chemical ingredients used to make the drug, which is often produced in Mexico and smuggled into the U.S. Out of humanitarian concern, we've helped, but the U.S. should not respond with hostility. It would only fuel fears that China is weaponizing drugs against the U.S. Meanwhile, the European Union also announced it will begin collecting new tariffs on U.S. imports next week, responding to recent U.S. taxes on steel and aluminum. The EU said these measures could be paused if the U.S. returns to fair and balanced trade talks. What do you think? Comment, like, and subscribe. We'd love to hear from you.